What do you think of the parents that kick their kids out as soon as they have turned 18 years old? My mum kicked me out at 16, when I got advice to go on a independent youth benefit. They had to contact my mum to basically say she didn't want me. She turned round and said that I can come back whenever I want. So I was denied financial support. Then I found out she had moved to another island. I don't talk to her much. Dad didn't want to have kids. Once we were 7 or 8 years old, my mother pretended to still like us, but she didn't seem to, had more independent personalities. I believe that many past generations had children more out of obligation than out of a genuine desire to be parents for the rest of their lives. Welp. I was kicked out at 16 and again at 18. My mother had no ambitions for work and decided the low to zero income way of life was a good choice to raise 3 kids. Addictions and mental disorders OFC. Anyhow, she demanded $500 per month from me, while I was in high school. At the time, a full-time job at minimum wage would net you about $300 bi-weekly. Needless to say, I first had to drop out of school to work full-time to pay her that. Eventually I got back into school, cut back on, and quit jobs until I was part-time and could actually attend school. This caused money to stop coming in. This caused her to be angry. This caused me to become homeless. So now when she asks for help, or simply wants to talk to me, and I don't reply. Well, there you go. There were many other things involved, but if you are addicted to your kids, they will be addicted to you when they are adults. Rightfully so. Yes, I am now a parent, and no, under no circumstances would I do what she did. Was one of those kids, haven't spoken to my parents in over 10 years. Have no intention on speaking to them anytime in the future either. Brother was out before 18 and I was out at 18, and my dad didn't even have a funeral. Should tell you about all you need to know about parents who kick their kids out ASAP. I was 17, a semester away from graduating. My evangelical parents found some weed in my brother's room. I woke up early on a school morning to the sound of my father angrily throwing mine and my brother's things out of the house and out into the yard. He and I spent the next 5 years homeless, at best sleeping on a friend's floor, at worst sleeping on concrete sidewalks exposed to the elements and the worst in people. I'm 34 now and off the streets almost a decade now, but it forever changed the course of my life for the worse, and worst of all, my brother was never able to recover. He took his life almost a year ago. My parents divorced for a second time about a year after kicking us out. My father almost immediately remarried. I later found out that he had put his stepson through college and paid his rent while we were eating out of dumpsters. That was probably the most painful thing I ever had to absorb and internalize. I think some people are even potentially able to self-sustain in that situation, albeit a very small percentage, but to shelter your kids completely and not give them the skills to survive and then abandon them is abuse in my eyes. Kicking out your kid as soon as you are legally allowed to do so tells me you wanted them out of the house even earlier, and the only reason you didn't do it is because you didn't want to be arrested. My BF got kicked out at 18 and his parents literally said to his face, "Since you were an accident and we didn't mean to have you, we need you out of the house now so we can actually relax like we used to before you were born." Anyway, I think extremely badly of them. I can't imagine having to deal with that. My dad lost a place to live at his parents' house for the summer his last year of college, and luckily my mom's parents let him stay in their basement. From what my parents told me, my dad was devastated by this. My parents' rule was we would have a place to stay without paying rent as long as we were in school or after we graduated while we were getting our first job. I really appreciated their support and not needing to worry about housing during the summers while I was in college. We'll be doing the same with my 3 kids. I was one of those kids. The rule in my house was you were out by 18 unless you were still in high school. In that case, you were out on graduation day. I actually turned 18 before graduation, but my mother was exceptionally bitter by that time, so I was forced out before graduation anyway. It was an odd circumstance where I had all the credits to graduate early, but my junior year the state legislature passed a law requiring some civics credits to graduate. As a result, I had to return for my senior year and take 1 class a semester. My mother figured that was good enough. I recall renting a house I could not afford to heat, and living off the scraps left in bus pans under the grill at a Hardee's that I cleaned at night, while still in high school. The reason for my mother's bitterness was mostly due to my father. My father's life was one of tragedy that created the unfaithful man that he was. Generally he was well liked among his peers and acquaintances, humorous and very intelligent, but he was a lousy father who was only around to sleep. There wasn't much talking to be had with him. My mother was in a constant state of rage, and I feared her coming home in the afternoons. Her temper was quick, and she would grab whatever implement was at hand with which to dole out a beating for even the most insignificant infractions. My last beating was at the age of 16 when she sent me to my room and came in with a belt. I stood there taking the first 2 lashes and then I snapped. I swirled around and snatched the belt out of her hand and reared back to beat the crap out of her, but I didn't hit her. I shoved the belt back at her and told her never again, and walked out. Our relationship was extremely strained from that point forward, even until the end when she died of the complications of dementia. On that day I gave her a beautiful death she didn't deserve. On my phone is a voicemail she sent me regarding a family heirloom called a bean pot. How I acquired it is another story. Anyway, in this recording she is upset that an ambulance service sent her a bill for $900, and she would have to confiscate the bean pot as payment since I wasn't around to take her to the hospital. I save that voicemail because it's the nicest thing she said to me in her last 3 years of life. That shared experience took a toll on all of us. My mother was a master at pitting us against each other, and it has only been since her death that a couple of my siblings have finally seen through her schemes. As a result, my relationship with my siblings is best described as cordial. I have a younger brother who died 5 years ago, and an older brother who died last year. The 4 eldest had a somewhat close relationship, having grown up during a time when my parents were still together and my mother had not yet gone full-blown insane, but us 3 younger siblings were raised after my parents' divorce when my mother was a raging lunatic. We were too traumatized to develop bonds with each other. These days, the remaining 3 eldest live with a degree of guilt for having left us 2 remaining youngest behind, and they try to be supportive, but it is as if there is no real trust. I believe the best way to describe the relationships is that me and my siblings are all more comfortable with our respective friends than we are with each other. As for me, life has been a series of triumphs and tragedies. My child is my greatest triumph as she grew up happy, loved, and well-adjusted. My life taught me what not to do as a parent. The tragedies simply make for interesting stories even if they haven't left me in a good place. Great candidates for a nursing home in their later years. They're not Italian, that's for sure. Here in Italy, when the child is finally ready to leave the house at the age of 35, the family gets together to bid them a tearful goodbye, before they move 1 kilometer away from their parents' house. Smiley face. I went to school with some people like that. Immediately kicked out at 18. How can they expect to continue their education when they now have to immediately start making enough for food and shelter? Inevitably, most got married and divorced or at least pregnant young too. Now 20 years later, the ones I'm friends with on Facebook are continuing the vicious cycle by kicking their kids out at 18. Come on bro, give them a chance. And you complain your family doesn't have generational wealth. This is why. My older brother was a complete narcissistic asshole. He would hit me often and told me, if I told my parents, he would kill me. He was constantly causing problems with my parents. My father told him that on his 18th birthday, he could have breakfast in the house, but his lunch was going to be on the front porch in a paper bag, so pack a suitcase. My father was true to his word. One of the greatest days of my life. It's an absolutely horrible way to start a life. Which hobbies that people do screams rich people. In Sweden it's tennis. Even though tennis isn't super expensive, that's where all the millionaires slash their kids are. Flying to F1 races. I work for a Porsche. Many clients have racetrack memberships where they garage their cars and have track days. $80,000 to $90,000 initiation fee, $10,000 annual fee for some memberships. My neighbor is a yachtsman who makes a middle-class living racing rich people's yachts. So, I would say hiring people to indulge your hobbies is about as 1% as one can get. Polo. Summering. Only rich people will ask another person where they summer. A friend of ours got a wildly expensive cappuccino machine from his wife for Christmas. She didn't think there was room for it in their huge gourmet kitchen, so they had a whole coffee station with cabinets and drawers and a built-in mini fridge and marble countertops installed in the adjoining breakfast area. This was all because they got tired of driving to Starbucks twice a day. Oh, and they sent us home with an Xbox One the other night because they just bought whatever the new one is, X, and had no use for it. LOL, nicest people, just wildly wealthy. The fastest way to become a millionaire is to become a billionaire and go racing. We had a meet and greet with a new executive at my company and she told us one of her hobbies is investing in real estate. Bartender here. 2 very cute girls from out of town sat at my bar. Equally cute guy walks in. Immediately buys them drinks. His opener was, "So how often do you gals boat?" They were from fucking Philly lol. When he said that I couldn't not smirk at it. He also tipped me like $130 for 3 Jameson Cokes. My granddad belonged in a country club. My extremely affluent uncle enjoys building and flying his own aircraft as a hobby. There appear to be kits. But he has also acquired and fixed small 2-seater planes that have crashed. Not really a hobby, but I worked for a boutique private doctor company that catered to the very rich. Membership fee, $40K a year per person, not including their insurance, and these are just some of the things that are included. Asterisk, you have a medical team, your primary, a nurse, cardiologist, OBGYN, physical therapist, nutritionist, etc. just for you. Asterisk, need an appointment for anything, they will work around your schedule. Asterisk, yearly checkup, 2 HRS with your primary drive and your medical team at the clinic or your house. They craft a yearly wellness plan for you and track it monthly. Asterisk, lab work? In-house, at the clinic, or at your house. The nurse will call you within 24 hours with the results and explain them to you in great detail. Asterisk, you have your DR's mobile number and email address and you can reach out to them 24/7 with questions or concerns. Asterisk, are you traveling domestically or internationally? They will provide you with top-tier DRs wherever you are or have your personal drive and nurse fly out. Asterisk, are you having a medical emergency? Your drive-in nurse will meet you at the ER and have a private room ready for you with a specialist if needed. Asterisk, don't feel like going to the DR's office, they will go wherever you are. Asterisk, insurance or billing questions? You don't worry, they will navigate that for you. Clients? Celebrities, politicians, CEOs, the 1%. Equestrian sports. Haute couture. And while we are at it, Sailor Moon merchandise. Going to space. Yachts and yacht clubs. What was a big or popular saying when you were a teen? Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Up your butt and around the corner. Not. Like totally. Suck it. Gestures and X over crotch. That's whack. My 46-year-old son calls me home slice. FO show. South Park quotes from the first season, "Screw you guys, I'm going home, respect my authority. You killed Kenny. You bastards. Calling something dope, the bomb or the bomb diggity. D's nuts. Hood up, dog," or calling someone homeboy, but ironically, because we were suburban white kids. Peace out. I know you are, but what am I? Kick rocks. That's my name, don't wear it out. Talk to the hand. Oh snap. Booyah.